video, I'm going to go through the best ways you can use trend lines in the Forex markets. I'm going to show you how you could have won 4 trades purely by using trend lines on one currency pair. So stay tuned. These trendline methods will also apply to other asset classes too. However, before we begin, a quick disclaimer for you, and that is that Forex trading does carry a high level of risk to your capital, and you should only trade with money you can afford to lose. Before we crack on with trendlines, I would also like to draw your attention to FXAxe's brand new Discord community, bringing like-minded traders together and hopefully enhancing everyone's trading journey, not to mention speeding up that journey to consistency and profitability in the Forex markets. You can find the invite link in the description below. Anyway, let's roll that intro and crack on with trendlines. So guys, trend lines connect turning points in the markets. Now, for beginner traders, trend lines can be really useful to help visualize trending markets and of course identify turning points and potential entry points. So this is the main thing that we want to focus on today. Now, the first and simplest method, a way of using the trend line is to connect price points. So as you can see, we have connected this. This is the initial start, the beginning of the uptrend, and then we can see a higher low formed here. So we have drawn a trend line, which if you are on TradingView, you can find the trend line here, and we have connected this line here, this trend line, with this point here. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to then extend that line and wait and see if this trend holds. So we're going to move this bar on, and you can see that we have touched it, and there we go, we have seen a strong bullish bounce. So this could have potentially been the first trade you could have taken on $CAD. Now it's up to you. Do you want to target the equal highs? That could be a really nice option. And you know, a risk to reward of 1.4 roundabout is still a great trade. So there we go, smashed it, and we've seen that bounce. Now the third trend line bounce is often the strongest. Of course, to make it you know, a genuine trend, we do need a couple of touches of this trend line. Now, that was $CAD on the 4-hour chart, but have a look at $Swiss on the weekly chart here. And we can see that on the higher time frames, these trend lines do hold more weight. This trend, this upward trend, a formation of higher lows, has been going on since the start of 2021. So for this whole year, this trend line has been respected. Now, if you go lower down the time frames, then you will see these trend lines get violated more. So remember that if you identify a trend on the higher time frame, it holds more weight than on a lower time frame. Let's head back to $CAD. Okay, so to make it even easier to identify trends, what we can do is draw another trend line connecting the highs. Now again, we can see 3 touches of this high, or 2 after the initial formation. So now we can clearly identify this trend. I recommend that all beginners do start using 2 trend lines to connect the high and the low points, if indeed it is a trending market. This will really help you identify breaks to the upside and breaks to the downside of trending markets. So you can see quite clearly now we have a formation of higher highs and higher lows, therefore an uptrend in this market. So guys, now what we want to do is identify the second trade that we're going to take on this pair. So we are going to extend this line once again, right, and we are going to wait to see if price comes down to touch this trend. And there we go. Wow. So this move may have happened too quickly. However, for the purpose of this video, what we're going to be looking for is perhaps you would have scaled down and seen a rejection on the 1 hour perhaps, and then targeting around the equal highs or this key resistance zone here, which we will talk about in just a second. So again, you might have been able to achieve a better risk to reward ratio on this trade than this trade, but look how it has tagged the trend line, leaving a wick to the downside, followed by strong push to the upside, guys. So that could have been trade 2. So now we are going to talk about confluencing, which admittedly for beginner traders this can get a little bit complicated, so just stick with me. So we can clearly see here that this level is quite a key near-term resistance level because price has come to this level previously and bounced to the downside. So it's basically been a barrier, this type of level. So now we have we've ridden this trend, this uptrend, up to this resistance level. Now of course we know that we could break through it, but looking back at what's happened previously, we know that potentially this could be a sign of price stalling and sellers coming into the market. So let's see how price reacts at this level. So if you like, we have formed some sort of double top, even maybe triple top here at this level, and you can see clearly wick rejections to the upside, which presents some sort of rejection at this level. And we have then seen, after this consolidation here at this level, we have seen a push to the downside. Now let's extend this trend line a little bit further. We can see we have touched this trend line. Now as these trendline touches go on, there is more chance of a break of this trend, especially on the 4 hour. So now we are a little bit apprehensive about taking buy positions off this level because we've seen this key resistance level, we've seen consolidation at this level followed by strong downside movement. So I would not be looking to take this trade, a buy position, off the touch of this trend line. Let's see what happens with price. Again, so we've seen price respect this trend line once more. However, yes, some people may have taken this trade. I wouldn't have done, purely because we have seen price squeeze between this resistance level and this uptrend. So once again, we're testing this key level here around 128.50. And once more, we are seeing a push to the downside following this level. Now, we have seen a close below this level. So now we are anticipating a potential reversal. However, it may be a little bit too early to enter this market right now. Okay, now we have seen a series of bearish candles to the downside. We've seen a break of this trend line. So this is how you another way you can use trend lines. So what we're going to be looking for here is, once we've ridden the uptrend, we are going to be looking for a break of that trend line, which can produce some really good trade opportunities. Now, if we aim for kind of a 1.2 to 1, let's see how price reacts. And bam, we've seen this strong downside movement. We've seen a lack of liquidity at this level. We've seen price get squeezed between this uptrend and this key resistance level here. We've seen a break of this uptrend structure, and following that, a strong move to the downside. Now that is a lot of pips, guys. 60 pips in around about 20 hours, maybe even slightly less, is really nice on dollar CAD. So another really nice move there. Of course you could have ridden it lower, but we know that we're never ever going to be taking perfect trades. They just don't exist. So look, 60 pips would have been really nice there, a really nice winner. And that is the third trade that you could have taken purely using the trend line with a little bit of confluence in that resistance level, and just clearly watching price action and a slowdown in bullish movement. So guys, we're going to carry on watching how this pair reacts. And what we're going to do is we're not now going to forget this trend line just because we've ridden the uptrend and seen a break of this trend line. This trend line could still be very useful for us. So what we're going to see is we're going to see price start to approach this trend line here, and we can see we've already left a wick rejection to the upside. Now this is using this trend line as dynamic support and resistance. So we've used it as support so far. because we've been buying off the level. Now it has shown the first signs that it is acting as resistance, and this is where you can get in your fourth trade. So look at that move, guys. So we've used this trend line here as an uptrend, right? We've broken it. We've taken advantage of that break of structure. We've then let price ride back up to the upside. This break here was only a deeper retracement into that upside move, and lo and behold, we have seen this position, or this trend line, respect once more, this time as resistance. So again, guys, let's see how price reacts. Again, we've seen a little bit of pullback, and then price has smashed our take profit once more. So look, guys, there are 4 different trades using the trend lines differently in many ways. Yes, these two are relatively similar setups, and you can see the strong bullish push we saw off this trend line. However, we used it once more as a break of structure, and then we used it once more as a retest as resistance. So that is how you can use trend lines in the Forex markets. If you can combine them and use key levels, support and resistance, horizontal levels, or even key psychological levels in the market. So look at this 129 whole level here, and how price has rejected that 129 level, coinciding with that resistance level or dynamic resistance of that trend line, and you will be well on the way to profitability in the Forex markets. I really hope this video has been useful, guys. There are drawbacks to trend lines as well. Remember about heading down into the lower time frames. They will get violated very often. But also trend lines can be very subjective. Unlike key whole levels, factual whole levels in the market, and key horizontal levels, trend lines can be a little bit subjective. What I mean by that is that my trend line might be different to your trend line. So there are drawbacks, don't get me wrong, but it's important that you guys know how to use them and help you visualize trends in the Forex markets, and use them in Confluence to enter and exit positions.